Previously,
it's with sylabdul.
This isn't a bad deal. It just, let's just keep it real, right? Netflix wasn't my pick to win this, okay? Like Netflix, I was not hoping Netflix would win this. This was totally out of left field for a lot of people. Industry insiders, just business people. Everyone was blindsided by this nearly midnight, coup that Netflix pulled. I was definitely hoping for Paramount because of obviously the Saudi connection. We saw the connections there. The leaked Paramount deal, I thought was a slam dunk. I was like, this is going to satisfy theatrical people. This is going to satisfy, just the Hollywood industry. All of them were pulling for Paramount. And then obviously the selfish part of me was the Saudi connection to Zack Snyder. And I was like, oh, we can get this all. And then on top of that, it was going to fire James Gunn. But it was just kind of crazy, man. What overall happened. And I like to just deal in reality, but like I said, I don't hide from that. People was messaging me like, oh, you saying Paramount was gonna win. Like, bro, every trade, every business journal, everyone thought Paramount was gonna get this. I lost a lot of respect for Paramount, okay? And then don't get me started on Comcast, because we've been talking about them for like 5 years, and they allowed Netflix to outbid them. It's insane. So
it's Coffee Talk with sylabdul. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe now.
Wake up in the morning, eyes crusty, heavy yawning. My phone keep going off, so I shut off the alarm and then head into the kitchen to get the coffee brewing. French roast with French vanilla, my own French revolution. Next movement is to tune into Coffee Talk with Sil. My girl is toss a yap if I tell her she needs to chill. I hear enough of the yapping from all of these goofy shills. Plus I'm trying to be informed of whatever's the latest deal, for real.
Well, it's been quite the dramatic week of talking the business behind this film news. Definitely, we knew the WB sale would strike up just dramatic conversations, because for us, as far as on this platform, we enjoy film entertainment, CBM Geek News, the business behind it, but especially when it involves DC. Right. And so if you own Warner Brothers, you own this wonderful DC Comics IP that many of us grew up on. You own Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, etc. So definitely, as Warner Brothers has changed hands in our lifetime, something felt different about this one. Because, you had it, Time Warner had it, and AT&T and all this stuff in the past. This feels different because it's a lot of consolidations in Hollywood and streaming entertainment overall. Whoever gets Warner Brothers this time may keep it for the rest of our lifetimes, right? Like this is what we're kind of, looking at. So we've been following, I've been following the news of this sale and the potential, and Paramount seemed to have been the favorite the whole time. And then in the midnight hour or the 11th hour, Netflix swooped in, offered a very interesting deal, I'll say interesting, for Warner Brothers, and they seem to have closed their deal. All right, that's what we thought. They entered that exclusive period of negotiations, meaning Warner Brothers, the WBD board, chose Netflix. And there's a lot of details surrounding this, so we'll kind of get to it. And ultimately, too, again, what does this mean for DC? And then even further, for the core of the channel, what does this mean for the Snyderverse, right? Netflix initially, again, wasn't my favorite to get DC, but let's just assume they close this, it gets through the regulatory process, and we'll touch on why I feel Netflix actually has a good chance to close this deal if it stands, because there's a new Paramount angle that we're going to discuss today as well, where David Ellison, in a sense, lost the initial bid, and his next step is to take the hostile route. And so you have people, favoring one side or the other. I thought the Paramount package was, a better bid overall, getting the company overall. But if Warner Brothers is going to choose Netflix, I wanted to look at the pros and cons of that. And it's actually a pretty good partnership, just in general, where you have Netflix, king of streaming. They don't have theatrical, studios. So you partner the best streaming in the world with, top 2 film studio, really number 1 this year, Warner Brothers. And that seems like a good vertical partnership there. So I actually didn't see a problem with that. And again, I wondered, okay, well, how are they going to spin this? Because people are saying the market share of having number 1 streamer Netflix, number 3 HBO Max, that's a monopoly on streaming. But my thing is, if Netflix already won the streaming war, I don't know why it would be a further argument that, okay, they bought one of the little guys. I know HBO Max is number 3, but they have less than half of Netflix global subscribers. Netflix has over 300 million subscribers. HBO Max has 120 million. So it's not even a fair fight anymore. It's just, okay, we can own that. So I never bought into the whole monopoly streaming, but also 2 people are arguing both sides of this. Netflix WB deal will be approved. They say, again, someone's predicting this. They're saying this deal will get done. When I was looking over, the Netflix deal, and I was trying to process what happened, that they swooped in and appeared to have, secured Warner Brothers. We'll see. But their argument, because a lot of people are caught up online saying, it won't pass the regulatory process and the litigations. I was like, oh, hold up. I was like, Netflix actually has a good argument here that can close this. And so this is what someone is saying. It says the market is more than just, in mind, streaming. It's eyeballs. It's YouTube. I mean, Netflix has been losing eyeballs regularly to YouTube. It's TikTok. It's Facebook. Because on one hand, Paramount's insisting Netflix deal would never gain favor with the regulators because, again, you got the number 1 global streamer, Netflix, adding another streaming service. It says unfairly extends its lead over rivals and adds its leverage over consumers. Now, that's interesting. That's an interesting argument, both sides here. It's just, on one hand, Netflix is saying, people are calling us the number 1 streamer in the world, which is true, but more people go on TikTok than Netflix. More people go on YouTube, and YouTube has TV now, and you got Facebook. So Netflix is saying people spend their time on more things than just us. Paramount's saying, well, no, you can't mix markets like that. You can't compare that to sitting down and watching a 3-hour movie on Netflix, right? You can't mix markets, right? Which is, again, interesting arguments, both sides. I do like the Netflix argument. When I first heard Netflix saying, hey, we're just an internet streaming service. And what else can you get on internet? TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. Netflix is like, we're losing eyes to them. So just very interesting arguments, both sides here. What do you think in the comments below? Which side are you kind of leaning on? Again, Paramount really got that messaging out there to people where they automatically say, oh, Netflix will have a monopoly, right? And again, Netflix counter is we really don't have a monopoly on just internet content overall. And on one hand, when you have people saying they favor the Netflix deal, and again, if all things stand as is, let's say Warner Brothers sticks with the Netflix deal, I think it can close. I believe that. But there are counter arguments, and as I always encourage people, I mean, I like to hear different opinions on stuff. I don't need just skewed information, right? Like just give me the details, give me the facts, or give me what you're really thinking, and I can make up my own mind with that. And so a lot of skeletons in the closets may be coming out about Netflix. Now, what do we mean? We just kind of touched on it. Netflix is arguing, hey, we're losing eyeballs to TikTok, right? YouTube. More people, when they're online on their phones, you can watch Netflix on your phones. They're choosing to go to TikTok and YouTube more. Great argument by Netflix, but this is actually exposing something. Why did Netflix take such a big swing to get Warner Brothers? Because there's more reports coming out that Netflix thought about going after Disney, but Disney ain't for sale right now. Warner Brothers is. So Netflix is like, okay, we need to obtain more content. We're kind of leveling off. We won the streaming war, but the streaming war now is not just Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max. You got to look at, again, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. So Netflix is like, we dominated streaming TV and movies. To go another level, we need access to Warner Brothers IP, exclusive, IP, not just licensing stuff anymore. We have to own stuff. So people have to come to Netflix to see everything. And you can't just go to YouTube, right? So this is, again, interesting argument. But then again, it's showing actually there's a weakness to Netflix now. And this is the question here. Is Netflix worried? Do they worry about its ability to continue growing in audience engagement amid the rise of short form creator economy powerhouses such as YouTube and TikTok? There also could be a possibility of a bidding war if Paramount ups the price. We're going to get into Paramount in a moment. They're going for that hostile bid. Paramount's taking it straight to the shareholders, saying, "You make more money with us than Netflix." If Paramount raises the price, Netflix will have to raise the price if they want to win this. In a sense, Netflix has to win this. This is the crazy thing in all this, is that, again, this is exposing a chink in the armor for Netflix, and Netflix is trying to, it sounds weird saying to stay relevant, but they may have hit a ceiling, Netflix, as far as the way they've been doing business. Now this is the next phase in the evolution of this company, Netflix, which used to just send you a couple DVDs in the mail, right? Now they want to be the media entertainment giant in the world. And so again, like I said, I think there's arguments both ways with this as far as the Netflix acquisition. I believe they have a good argument, again, saying that, hey, this short form content, Netflix saying we're not dominating, just content online overall. But again, Paramount's argument is that, no, you're not TikTok, you're not YouTube, you are a premium streaming service, and you could have a monopoly over premium streaming services if you are able to acquire Warner Brothers, which includes HBO Max. Netflix right now stands, and it is just a snapshot for today, at a 20% chance to actually close this deal. There's still a lot of uncertainty circling around Netflix. It should be retained, right? I do believe it should be something special about that form of entertainment on the big screen. That's where I ultimately lean. On one hand, Netflix was saying, yeah, it's time to kind of shift to the future. But then they try to backtrack, saying, no, we still like the theaters. So Netflix, they got to get better PR people in place, because they've been talking kind of wild. There's been a lot of wild quotes from Netflix for years, but people were just like, oh, they're just a streamer. Yes, they won the streaming wars, but they're not going to hurt anything. Well, now you're trying to own Hollywood. Now you're bothering people with some of these quotes, Netflix, a little tone deaf at times. But a lot of that, too, of Hollywood being, enraged by Netflix taking over or really not taking theater seriously. A lot of that too is the business behind it, where their residuals, they're the type of contracts they get. And that's what they're really upset about. That if Netflix takes over Warner Brothers, that's going to affect their contracts, their kickbacks with theaters, with their deals. So that's really what it's about. As far as the customer experience, if I could be real for a moment here with the viewers, in 2021, when Warner Media, Jason Kilar, did the day and date release of the films, you had several films at home, Godzilla vs. Kong, Mortal Kombat. You have several Warner Brothers films, Wonder Woman 84. Now, not all those films were good, not all of them were, but the fact is that convenience that you could just stream it at home if you wanted to, James Gunn's Suicide Squad. But theater owners, yes, I understand theater owners, that didn't help them. Maybe there is a happy medium of streaming at home and going to theaters. And those that want that theater experience, I think it still will be there. But that doesn't sound good to theater owners. See, again, I'm not worried about Hollywood and all these producers and everyone wants their, again, their checks, their kickback checks and everything. I'm not really too concerned with that. I look at it from a consumer standpoint, but also too, definitely some concern for theater owners. So you got to just make sure there's still eventful type films for that theatrical space. And that's what Netflix has to make sure they maintain. So that remains to be seen. And then now we have Paramount basically trying to do a hostile bid attempt. Now I gotta say just one thing with Paramount. It's obvious that I favored the Paramount deal overall because overall for DC, and yes, the angle of the Saudis, connection with Zack Snyder, and that the Snyderverse could likely be theatrical with the Paramount deal. So the battle for Warner Bros. Discovery. This is the tale of the tape. David Ellison came out swinging, saying that they want all of WBD's assets. They have the sovereign wealth funds from Qatar, Abu Dhabi, and the Saudis. They have the backing. They feel again the best package, and I think they do. It's just they got to up that bid. That's just really what they need to do. Long story short, if you were favoring the Netflix deal, and if you think Paramount's really not going to seriously, up the bid, then you still don't want to get too. You don't want to celebrate too soon with Netflix. There's different reports coming out that Paramount's going to fight this all the way up to the point where Warner Brothers splits the companies next spring. And it's like, I'm just going to be just blunt. No one's going to take Paramount seriously unless they up the bid to like $35 a share. Now, if they do that, then Zaslav has to listen. And then there's a really good chance that Paramount could, again, leapfrog Netflix. But I think one thing is clear is that Zaslav and the WBD shareholders, they want Netflix. I think it's very clear. Again, you're hearing different reports that Zaslav's been ignoring David Ellison's text messages, as Ellison's been courting Zaslav, saying sweet nothings to him to get him to consider the Paramount deal. And David Zaslav has pretty much ghosted him. But let's assume Netflix is going to close this. What does this mean first, like with the DCU? Let's touch on the DCU here. James Gunn, Peter Safran. As reports have come out that Gunn and Safran, initially they signed a 4-year deal at the end of 2022, which we covered here. 4-year deal took them to the end of 2026. That was the understanding. Now it's coming out that Gunn and Safran, they actually was extended. So the deal was 4 years, then it was extended just about 6 months. What does this tell us, right? As we said during the sale process for Warner Brothers, that Warner Brothers, had one of the greatest years ever in theatrical history, over $4 billion of box office profits. You have a very valuable studio. On top of that, the IPs, the Harry Potters and everything, you get a share of the MonsterVerse. You get all kinds of things. Lord of the Rings, DC, of course. DC was a major reason why anyone wanted to buy Warner Brothers. The word was for a while now that DC is an untapped market, that they still haven't cracked it like Marvel did. Now, again, that's where you get into trouble trying to rush the DCEU and all that stuff, right? We're not going to get into that right now. But what they mean, though, is not just the fact that, okay, you should have just did Justice League 2 and 3. It's all the spinoffs, potential television shows, streaming. And then from there, they also was like, we should be doing TV shows too. So the Snyderverse could have gave you a version of diversifying the brand. And I think it would have been very profitable. But now, just long story short, now they're trying to do this again with the DCU. And so anyone, again, that's buying Warner Brothers, they're looking at the untapped market of DC. Now, why are we saying all that? With Gunn and Safran getting that short extension, because this is literally an extension. It's a 6-month extension or so. Zaza, Warner Bros. Discovery, they're anticipating, again, we'll assume Netflix wins this and closes this. So in 2027, with Gunn and Safran's contract, they're like in the lame duck year. Doesn't mean they're totally going to be fired, but it's clear that Netflix wants to have significant input on DC projects. You contrast that to DeLuca and Abdi. DeLuca and Abdi, their deal was going to be up in 2026. After this historic year for Warner Brothers, they got a multi-year extension on their contract, meaning the end of the contract is 2026, and you're adding multiple years on top of that. So DeLuca and Abdi will not be in a lame duck year. They're going to be focused on the theatrical side. Warner Brothers Pictures, New Line Cinema, Warner Brothers Animation. They got a huge Cat in the Hat film they're trying to do for WB Animation. And then what about DC? And do you need a Gunn and Safran there? It's possible, but also too, it's been well documented. Head of Netflix Films, Dan Lin, was actually going to be a DC architect years ago with the Frank Miller Justice League Mortal film that never was made. Dan Lin was going to architect a DC world that fell through mostly because of strikes and things like that. And then Christopher Nolan, his Batman exploded. You didn't want another Batman running around at that time. So will Dan Lin want input with DC? Because Netflix, as I said, when it appeared Netflix won the bid, is that, okay, as far as my hopes of Snyderverse theatrical, I thought those chances were better with Paramount because of the Saudis, and you could do big DC events on big screen. With Netflix, I still believe Zack could do more DC. It'll probably be more of a series or a streaming film. I'm not sure about theaters. Maybe you could have a short theatrical run. And again, we're just assuming he gets JO2, the Nightmare movie, or just Zack to finish a story. Likely that would just be on Netflix, right? If it happens. Again, I believe Zack will do DC again. So Snyderverse aside, Netflix having more input in DC, maybe putting their own people, and Gunn and Safran can still stay. Well, at least Gunn, you really don't. We'll see. We'll see how this all shakes out. But for them just having that short extension, it's just showing there's going to be some kind of restructuring. This is my theory. There's going to be some kind of restructuring of the DC studios because Netflix wants to extract as much DC as possible, series, streaming films. And the theatrical side, maybe they're working in conjunction with DeLuca and Abdi. We'll see. So right now, DC Studios is on the clock. If Gunn and Safran got like a multi-year extension to survive the Netflix and the deal closing, just like DeLuca and Abdi, then be like, okay, they're probably going to leave DC Studios alone. But no, the fact that, again, DeLuca and Abdi got the extension and Netflix is like, okay, y'all know the theater business. Netflix, that's why I say this actually is a good partnership, Netflix and Warner Brothers, if everything holds, just from their standpoint. They're like, okay, y'all run the theater business, no problem. But the DC brand, that's more than just theatrical. That is streaming films, series, TV shows, and theaters. So again, just DC Studios as is right now, I think is going to change. I think it's going to be restructured. I think it's as clear as day. Now, you have people who are heavy fans of James Gunn and what he's been doing with his Superman saga. It just has to deliver. And I think Gunn can still be a part of the creative process, but he's going to have new bosses. Zazav in this, he's going to have new bosses. Someone new is going to be signing his checks. So Netflix is going to have input. And hey, if James Gunn crushes it, knocks it out of the park with Man of Tomorrow, then this will be a moot point. And they either extend them. It's just going to be some kind of restructure there. That's what it's sounding like with DC Studio. That's my take on that. And amidst all this madness is Zack Snyder casually dropping another Henry Cavill photo. A few days ago, Zack Snyder crossed over 500,000 followers on Instagram. He's been commemorating each milestone with a new shot, a new picture of either Cavill, Batman, Batfleck, or something from the Snyderverse. And so we have this here. Zach says, today marks a little milestone on the wild IG journey, 500K in just over 2 months. See, Zach again he's showing people, hey, social media, the needle moves with Zack Snyder DC. That's all I'm saying. The proof is in the numbers here. Can other DC things move the needle? Yeah, sure, yeah. But you add Zack Snyder and DC, that gains traction every time. That just is what it is. And Zach says, I just want to say a heartfelt thank you to everyone who's joined along the way. For me, these characters are kind of a modern mythology. We're talking about DC here, folks, so follow along. Zach says, I put a ton of reverence and respect into bringing them to life. We're talking about DC, folks. Seeing that resonate with so many of you means the world. These DC characters resonating with the world. It means the world to Zack Snyder. Here's the many more stories together. Superman emoji. Because I saw people taking this and they're like, like if you're in the English class and they say, what's the topic of this paragraph? Is it movies in general? Well, it's first saying, thank you again for the followers. Then he gets into the topic, these DC characters. So this is the topic. This is the subject. They're a modern mythology. DC, not just films. And again, Zach said, people thinking like, oh, he's deconstructing these characters. Exactly. I put a ton of reverence and respect to bringing these DC characters to life, and they resonate with you. That means the world to me. Here's the more stories together, more DC stories. Superman emoji. Okay. So get out of here. Those trying to be like, oh, you just generalize. No, can you read? Do you understand the English language and how the paragraphs are structured? So it's very clear to me. And the title of the song, New Rules, we're criminals, Alfred. Nothing's changed. Okay. So shout out to the late great Mikey Sutton. Rogues. Now, Zach is talking about DC. Okay. Are there new rules? Is this Netflix still the new rules? Because, like I said, I believe if Paramount would have won the deal, I think definitely something theatrical would have happened. If Netflix holds on, I still believe Zach would do DC. I'm not sure about the theatrical side. I'm just not, right? That's why, again, I favor the Paramount deal. We're still a long ways to go with closing the deal. Can't really celebrate too soon with all this as far as just who's going to own Warner Brothers. But as far as Snyder fans, I think it's clear. We just want Zach to finish the story. But also, too, it's got to be some kind of theatrical. It's got to be something in some form, overall with this. But will it be a nightmare series on Netflix? I'll definitely take it. And we'll go forward with that. But this is Zack Snyder's own words. Let's not twist Zack Snyder's own words. Many more DC stories to come. All right? Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. We are officially here with the Supergirl teaser trailer. DC overall, it is cool that there are these event weeks that they're doing, and building up to trailers, and it's trying to make it an event, right? Just briefly, here are my thoughts about the teaser of the teaser leading up to this full teaser trailer. So, Supergirl, you're on the clock. Okay, awesome. DC had a countdown, some kind of announcement they wanted to make, or what was going on with that. It appeared it was the official poster reveal. Now we got the teaser of the teaser, and then we're gonna have the teaser trailer. So here's the teaser of the teaser. So let's kind of go through this teaser trailer, and I'll just kind of point out some things. We got Crypto back, right? Crypto. Now, if y'all read the comic Woman of Tomorrow, Crypto's obviously in the story. In the comic, he's sidelined for a bit. They kind of allude to that in this trailer as well. Now, first with this music, great job. Like I said, great music choice was Blondie. Is that the artist? So good, pop culture type film or music that's used. I know, was that a James Gunn note? Peeing on the newspaper. Gunn has his notes.
Let's be honest, babe, it's not a very high bar to clear.
So again, selling Millie Alcott. I thought that was the key the entire time for this film. Now we could talk about how far that can reach, because there's two different conversations that's probably going to be going on here. Is that, is this film going to make a lot of money? I don't know. This feels like a smaller character story. Will it be a good film? I think this is going to be a good film. You see, so when I talk about marketing and reach, that's that's just one part of the conversation. Is this quality stuff we're getting? Yeah, I think Millie Alcott's going to eat this up.
I didn't know any of you were still alive. What was it like to lose everything in the day?
So you got the destruction of Krypton. Interesting. They're going to tell this story. Yeah.
Krypton didn't die in a day. The gods are not that kind.
I think it's going to be a very emotional moment there. I think it's going to be again, some good character work. Again, Millie Alcock, she has several good lines in this trailer. Like I said, I'm already on board, but then also I'm realistic as far as the box office reach or maybe lack thereof that we're going to be facing with this.
Okay, this does not look like this is gonna end well for you guys.
Like Millie Alcock's eating this up, right? Like if you're watching this film, one of the main reasons is for her. Now she's never been, I think, a leading lady like this, so that's one thing. It's a DC property, so that gives her a little boost. But I think anyone that's gonna watch this, they're gonna say she's great. So you got Krim, right? It looks a little different from the comics, right? And in the comic, he was able to access, I think, her Supergirl's Kryptonian technology or her ship or something like that. So I think in this film, they're going to probably have him do that, but also give him like enhanced abilities.
Do others on your planet have powers like you?
Got the Lobo moment, right? You got the Lobo moment. So like I said, this recipe of this film, accomplished director, knows how to, really direct the leading lady. Millie Alcock, I think, is going to just slay this role, right? It's DC. So there's some good components going on here. You're using, a pretty good story. Probably Tom King's one of his best stories, in my opinion. Woman of Tomorrow. You add Lobo, Jason Momoa. Can this take this film to the next level? There are conflicting reports. Some people were saying he kind of had a small part, Lobo. And now some are saying he likely will have a major role. Now in the casting, when they have the cast list of this film, he's not like second or third billing. So I don't expect a major role from Lobo, but if they sprinkle him in enough and then obviously set up the Lobo project, which they want to do, that would only help this film. But so far, the overall feel and aesthetic of this film, it's a different aesthetic from James Gunn's Superman. That's the first thing. But you got a lot of people saying Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians. Okay. This is a cosmic story. This is in space. You got some James Gunn notes, so you're gonna have some overlapping, vibes with this. But watching this trailer, I wasn't even thinking of Marvel. I'm gonna be quite honest, like just watching this trailer. So that's one thing. But
What's Superman like?
He sees the good in everyone. And I see the truth.
good line. Again, Millie Alcock, she probably had like 3 or 4 moments in this trailer where I'm like, she's landing this, and she's gonna sell this film. It's just how much is this film really gonna make or attempt to make? I mean, that's always a conversation in the box office, especially now. Again, Warner Brothers is about to be sold. The new owners, very interested in DC specifically. And this film, has to perform right now. I had high expectations, and really just, James Gunn Superman, it got to a certain level. If I'm going to just guess right now, I don't think Supergirl is going to make as much as Superman. Because when that first Superman teaser trailer came out, again, I was getting instant reactions from general audience, and they were tracking different tracking techniques that these companies use. And at times I get that information. So I was talking about that throughout. I was like, oh no, I was like, Superman, he's found his audience. Now, internationally, I can never guess again internationally, but you saw domestic man. Superman did wonderful domestically, and in a couple other countries. And Supergirl, I wonder if she can even, reach those markets like that. Another angle with this is, and we'll get some quotes from James Gunn. I'm not saying they're leaning into like a feminist type thing, but I just hope they kind of be careful to not make this some kind of political thing. Let the movie speak for itself. Obviously, with the music and the choice with Kara Zor-El, they want to reach women. They want to reach Gen Z as well. Just how this is structured so far, you see they're aiming for, they want to aim for different audiences, not just what Superman got. So we'll see. We'll see, right? I mean, I just have kind of mixed feelings. I like the trailer. I like the acting already from the star of the film. But I just wonder if it will have that reach. Will it resonate with the general audience? I know this is just a teaser trailer. And Supergirl is not as big as Superman. But I just wonder. How this will reach. Good little action shot at the end. It wasn't. You saw a couple action shots in this trailer, and that's good. I think the action is going to look good. I think again, Supergirl is going to look good. June 26th, Supergirl's coming. DC summer. You got this quote here with James Gunn saying this Supergirl film is heavier and darker than Guardians 3. Now, my issue with this quote, because like I said, seeing the trailer for myself, I didn't feel the scale. I don't feel the scale is there. I think, but again, I think it's going to be great performances. Is it an event? It remains to be seen. But overall, it felt like, a very, I don't want to say lighthearted film, but it just, it alluded to, the destruction of Krypton and, how that made Supergirl feel. How does Kara evolve as a person, from a traumatic event, seeing, all of her race people die, right? In a sense, failing her mission to protect her baby cousin. So it's like, what does that do to a person? So that's a story right there for sure. In the trailer, it kind of glossed over that moment. And that's fine. You don't want to just dwell on it, but what does that do to you? Okay, she's going around drinking. Okay, maybe it's going to be more. They're going to show us more. But the whole darker and heavier, the only tone I kind of saw in this trailer was, against the whole Blondie. I think that's the artist. The whole boppy song and, one-liners from Kara, which were all great. A little action. I didn't feel anything heavy or dark. I would welcome this if this is the film they have, but they have not marketed Supergirl. And I guess that's the thing. I mean, they had, a nice line of what's the difference between her and Superman, right? He sees the good, she sees the truth, right? Great line. And that's your tagline. You can market the heck out of the film with that. But you got to show me. I need to see her making not just the whole emotional, she can't put it into words, and I'm just going to drink. Now I want to see her go, across the line, murk people. And they'd be like, I probably shouldn't have did that, but show that. And again, they allude to that, but I'm not getting heavy or dark. Guardians 3, granted, it was equipped with this trilogy build up in Marvel. So you kind of knew the characters. But the trailer for Guardians 3, it got very much across to you that this is a darker film. Guardians 3, I remember when that trailer came out, we all thought all the Guardians were going to die in the film. And the Supergirl, again, teaser, I'm not getting anything close to Guardians 3, how deep. And again, you have built in that Guardians, they can have a lighter tone, but their trailer was really dark. So the full trailer of Supergirl has to show me. You have to show us this, Gunn. Lip service is not going to do, because if you want her to be so different from Superman, this was your chance. But, hey, it's a fine line. That's why marketing isn't for everyone. Because you want people to like Kara as their protagonist, but if you want her to be an anti-hero, lean into that. You should present her as that, because I think the main problem, people, once they see this film, I'm sure one of the criticisms would be, well, you know, if it ends up being a darker film, they really didn't sell this film like a darker film. So like I said, it's still time, but this is, you know, Gunn always confuses stuff when he starts throwing quotes out there. It's like, oh, Gunn, like this seemed like a light film, a boppy film with some action. And yeah, she has a traumatic past, you know, okay, nothing too dramatic. You gotta show us rather than tell us. Now, so far in this film, again, I think the lead is gonna be great. Millie Alcock. Throw the Lobo in there, sprinkle in that Momoa. I think Krim's going to be a great villain, right? And then now we've been hearing all the way up to this point, you know, the Supergirl was going to be in the Superman film. That, you know, obviously she showed up there. Superman, Corn Sweat's going to show up in the Supergirl film, and Millie Alcock, I don't know if she was a slip of the tongue, but this is nothing to hide. If Superman's in the film, that's what I was saying with the whole Man of Tomorrow Brainiac thing. No, you want this hype. If they're in this film, just go ahead and tell us. We don't need to wait for any surprises for DC. Front load this with you know, any exciting cameos that you have, and sell the film. You know, DC's already made a mistake before with Black Adam. You know, not saying Superman was in the film. I know it was a post-credit scene. Superman should have been in the third act of that film, but that's another story. I digress on that. And Millie Alcock says that was a hard day. The whole scene was in Kryptonian. So I only can imagine, you know, Superman probably trying to reach Kara Zor-El. So Superman elects to use their mother tongue to you know, probably to try to talk to his cousin. I give Gunn credit for, you know, really establishing Corn Sweat Superman. So you kind of already know the vibe he's going to come in, and it's almost old fashioned. That was effective, you know, because it stood out so different now, this old fashioned kindness of Superman. So you have Kara Zor-El, which again, supposed to be a darker, you know, we'll see if that's really in the film. And then you come with this corny Superman. So Corn Sweat confirmed. James Gunn's talking again. Do we see a theme here? James Gunn says Supergirl is finally allowed to be messy like male superheroes have been for a while. Now, just on the surface, great. Give me messy Kara Zor-El. Give that to me. And I think Millie Alcott's going to give it to you. They can't, and this is just my opinion with this, but like, you do have to pick a path here. You do have to pick a lane. Do you want everyone to like Kara Zor-El and relate to her, or relating is a side thing? Just, do you want everyone just to like her? That she's supposed to be charming? No. Show that she's messy. Show that she crosses the line. But again, because of just her traumatic past, she's struggling, you know, with her morality. But show that. And hey, maybe that's at the expense of people, you know, liking her. But I think she could be a compelling character. Like, and let me just be clear. With Kara Zor-El, what I ultimately want, and I know I'm not going to get this from James Gunn, but you play on that trauma. I don't want this fixed in this film. I don't want her to almost all of a sudden be as virtuous as Superman or something. I want Red Lantern Kara Zor-El. I want New 52 DC Kara Zor-El Red Lantern. That's what I actually want. I just don't know if I'm going to get that, but you have a path or you have a lane here, and they really have to decide, because this is not what you're presenting. Just in this teaser trailer, did Supergirl seem messy? No, yeah, she had a couple extra drinks. Okay. I want to see the messy. I want to feel it. I want to be like, oh, maybe she shouldn't have did that. That will make her interesting, in my opinion. There's also another fine line here. As I kind of anticipated with the teaser, I was like, Gunn, I hope we don't go political with this, right? I hope, again, you want to reach the audience. Maybe there's a feminist audience, and maybe they'll speak up and express they like this approach. Again, obvious Gen Z angle they're trying to hit with this as well too. And when I say Gen Z, I mean, because, at times people throw the terms out. And what I mean when I say that, not just the age group that we're talking about, but also to how women are presented in film. And also there's no love interest. And just according to different studies with films, Gen Z rather not see a love story. Again, that's just the data that's out there. You can look that up yourself. So as opposed to with Superman, that's Clark and Lois, that's the bros and boomers, older audiences, did like James Gunn Superman. Supergirl is not for older audiences. I mean, if older DC audiences, you'll probably catch on to it. But they're trying to go for Gen Z for real. And I just wonder if it landed with them. We'll see. We got Gillespie actually saying this is really an anti-hero story. She's got all the demons, a lot of baggage coming into this, which is very different forms where Superman is in his life. Gunn added, so many times female superheroes are so perfect. She's not that at all. He paused, like male superheroes have been allowed to be for a while. So I mean, I get that angle. My thing is the marketing. Again, is this the film? If that's the film that you have, because I believe Craig Gillespie, and he's saying it's an anti-hero story. So please show the film, show what you have, market it that way, because you're gonna have a little backlash, I think, from certain segments of the audience where they are expecting this fun boppy film, and then it's a darker film. But like I said, the full trailer may really put that into play. If you gotta remember with the James Gunn Superman rollout, the teaser trailer, didn't show a lot. You did get the crypto, and stuff like that, moments like that, the robots. And then when you got the full trailer, you got more of the Clark and Lois, that whole argument, which is one, probably the best scene in the film is Clark and Lois arguing. You got more of the character. So maybe that's what it will be when we get this the Supergirl full trailer, is the full anti-hero story that Craig Gillespie said that he has in this film, and pretty sure he has at the final cut. So that's the story. Y'all really should market the film that way. So interesting stuff. Let me know in the comments below. Are you liking the Supergirl trailer? Again, I like the trailer. But the film that they're selling in this trailer, I don't know how that's going to really resonate with the audiences. If they're trying to sell the film that the director said that he has, the darker film, you need to show that in the final trailer, and I think you would get a different audience. You'll be hitting different audiences that you got with James Gunn Superman. So definitely good moments in this trailer. I'm looking forward to more. Again, DC 2026. I'm looking forward to all of this stuff, and then we'll see just how that translates to the larger audience. We shall see.
Let me give you more reasons to follow the homie Sil for the latest news, scoops, and moves he's about to reveal. From coffee talks to special brews, Hamada burgers for meals, a cup of bourbon with that tea that's about to get spilled. Like, what's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, Sil, we need to know the ins and outs. Who's walking out, buying in? We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. Take out your pen and paper, sit down and take notes. Sil is the realest among imposters, scavenging cutthroats. So, what's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, Sil, we need to know the ins and outs. Who's walking out, buying in? We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show. Let's go. Between DC and Marvel, they both have a startle. Disney's moving finicky, let's not mention Star Wars. All these movie execs be drunk off that power, disconnected from the fans in the ivory towers. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, Sil, we need to know the ins and outs. Who's walking out, buying in? We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. When they keep making the same mistake, that's what you call insanity. They can't even acknowledge their self-inflicted calamity. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, Sil, we need to know the ins and outs. Who's walking out, buying in? We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show, let's go. Scoop Senator, coffee talks, also covering analytics, making his own reviews, cause it's always been the critics. They clout chasers, money driven, repeating the latest gimmick. Come over to Sil Nation where true vision is given. Listen, what's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, Sil, we need to know the ins and outs. Who's walking out, buying in? We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. Let's not forget Mikey's son, always special to the crew from day one when him and Sil got together for special brew. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, Sil, we need to know the ins and outs. Who's walking out, buying in? We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show, let's go. I guess I'll finish on this note. When the niggas go flip mode, they turn gremlins, I'm gizmo. Come from my people, my kinfolk. For them I ride for and kill for. With this pistol I'm skillful. Shit can really escalate till it all goes abysmal. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, Sil, we need to know the ins and outs. Who's walking out, buying in? We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. I'm a watchman, forever vigilant, steady watching and listening, disciplined, militant, killing these dudes that started visiting. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard. Yo, Sil, we need to know the ins and outs. Who's walking out, buying in? We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show. Let's go.
It's Coffee Talk with sylabdul. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe now.
Wake up in the morning, eyes crusty, heavy yawning. My phone keep going off, so I shut off the alarm and then head into the kitchen to get the coffee brewing. French roast with French vanilla, my own French revolution. Next movement is to tune into Coffee Talk with Sil. My girl is toss a yap if I tell her she needs to chill. I hear enough of the yapping from all of these goofy shills. Plus I'm trying to be informed of whatever's the latest deal, for real. There's no need to regulate. Free speech is always the better way. The truth will never discriminate. Free thinking has been to solve a better place. Better place where we can all conversate. I mean converse, don't make this shit worse. Just try to appreciate. After this verse, so take us to church. Let knowledge disperse. Ideas then culminate, turn into action. Speak words with reason and passion. Honestly spoken, no need for retraction. Keep on demanding your full satisfaction. We made it happen, though we collapsed and broken in fractions. All of these factions overreact and broken in fraction. If I played a part, then I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Sylabdul ink through speak true as he bring the news. Coffee talk, stay brew, kick back, get real comfortable. Here to stay, no on delay, make sure I be's informed. On the road, on the go, playing ball on that pavement floor. It's a lifestyle right now, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Guaranteed all week's going to always be on time. That's my word y'all heard from Il Divino Vega's mouth. What's that worth much more than what these networks talk about? am a FIFA caffeine. Coffee gotta have some cream. Fetch a hazel beef for me while I listen to these kings. Sylla Mikey be the team. Subscribe to Sylabdul Inc. Wiki City magazine. Tell me what's behind the scenes, the other side of the ravine. Is it obscene or is it obscure? I am not sure. But the rich is the rich off the poor. That ain't no doubt to my core. We just keep asking for more. They keep supplying, demand is a store. As long as it makes it to shore, I know for sure. They'll just keep on making more. Well, almost treasure that piece now have been transformed into corporate Hollywood's whore.